What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Traptrix deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that I've been playing a lot recently. It's super fun to be able to play and just control the board with this super fun deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name, description, a single video, getting us signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Traptrix Pudica. Traptrix Pudica is a definite 3-of in the deck that when this card is normal summon, you can add a Trap Trip Garden from your deck to your hand, which is the Traptrix field spell. And this card also has a great effect that if this card is special summoned, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls and banish it. Also during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon out one of their banished monsters if they make it to that standby phase and you don't just end the game, which is a really cool thing about this card. Also, the great thing about all of your main deck Traptrix monsters is they're unaffected by the effects of whole normal trap cards, which is a great effect. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Marmelio. Traptrix Marmelio is one of the best cards in the entire deck that when this card is normal summoned, you can add a whole normal trap card from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect. And if this card is special summoned, you can target a spell or trap card your opponent controls and destroy that target. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Mantis. Traptrix Mantis is basically the Stratos of the deck and has an awesome effect that when this card is normal summoned, you can add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, which is a super cool effect. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Arachnacampa. Arachnacampa is basically the extender for the deck, and it's just a really good card in this particular build because during the main phase, if you control a Traptrix monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, but it locks you into insect and plant monsters for the rest of the turn from special summoning from the extract, which is not that big of a deal because all of your Traptrix monsters that we're going to be summoning from the extract are insect and plant monsters. And I even have some really cool tech cards you can summon that are insect and plant monsters by that effect. We then play 2 copies of Traptrix Dionia. Dionia is a really good 2-0 in the deck, but you only really need 2 copies of this card because it has a great effect that when this card is normal summoned, you can target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon that target in defense. And when this card is special summoned, you can target a whole normal trap card in your graveyard and set that target, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn if it's still on the field, which is a great effect to be able to use with this card, but I feel like you need a little bit of setup for this card, which is why I just play 2 copies of this card in the deck. We then play 3 copies of ParallelXZ. ParallelXZ is an awesome 3-of in the deck that basically just gets you 2 level 4s on your side of the field, because all you have to do is normal summon out any Traptrix monster to your side of the field and have this card in your hand, because once you normal summon out that Traptrix monster to your side of the field, you can then link it away for your copy of Sarah, and then once you link it away for Sarah, you can special summon out this card from your hand and make it a level 4. It then lets you special summon another ParallelXZ from your deck off this card's effect, and it also becomes level 4, but you have their attack and defense, which is going to give you 2 level 4s on your side of the field to then make a rank 4 play, which is just going to be so helpful in this deck. This card is a definite 3-of in this build. We're then playing 2 copies of Gameciel. Gameciel is just really neat in this particular deck. To be able to give your opponent a kaiju, it's super easy to out and deal with boss monsters that your opponent might be playing. I'm then also playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just one of the best hand traps in the entire game, and just basically stopping your opponent from touching the deck is always awesome. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're just going to be playing a few spells, and that's going to be a single copy of Trap Trip Garden, which is not a Traptrix card, it's actually Trap Trip Garden, which is really interesting about this card. But this card has some really insane effects that during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You only use the effect of this card once per turn, that the first time each insect or plant monster you control would be destroyed by battle, each turn it is not destroyed. And you can also banish 1 monster that you control to be able to special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your hand or grave, which is a really awesome effect to be able to use with this card to be able to get those effects of your Traptrix monsters, like your copy of Marmelio and Dionia's effects when they're special summoned. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good in the deck just to dig into the deck to get the exact cards that you need. And this card is just awesome in this particular build just to get the exact card that you need for your combo. So that's it for these spells, guys. let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. This card is a really good one-of in the deck, and I absolutely love this card that came out of the structure deck, that if your opponent has special summoned a monster or monsters this turn, you can target one of those monsters that your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack and destroy it. Then, if you have a whole normal trap card in the graveyard, you can banish one monster in your opponent's graveyard, which is a really awesome effect. I love this card as a one-of the deck because Rafflesia can easily get to this card, and a lot of your other cards in the deck can easily get to this card. So this card is just a really good one-of. We then play a single copy of Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. This card is also a good one-of in the deck, but you really only need a single copy of this card. Then when a monster your opponent controls that was special summoned this turn activates its effect, you negate the effect, and if you destroy that card, which is just really impactful in this particular format. We then play a single copy of Bottomless Trap Hole. This card is just a classic card. I love this card in the deck. Is when your opponent summons a monster with 1,500 more attack, destroy that monster with 1,500 more attack, and if you do, banish it instead of sending it to the graveyard, which is a really good effect. We then play 2 copies of Grave Trap Hole. This card helps us out with hand traps, actually, that when your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand or graveyard, or when your opponent banishes monster effect is activated, negate the effect, and if you do, inflict 2,000 points of damage to your opponent, which is a crazy powerful effect, but this card helps you out a lot with hand traps, just stopping your opponent. I love that about this card, but this card has a lot of uses in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Floodgate Trap Hole. Floodgate Trap Hole is really good at flipping your opponent's monsters face down, and they cannot flip them back up, which is just so good just to be able to lock your opponent down by having that one card face down on their side of the field that they just can't move. I love that about this card, and it's so good right now. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Holtia. Holtia is really good as a trap monster in this particular deck, and you can activate this turn the same turn it was set by discarding one normal trap card to special summon this card in defensive position as a normal monster that's a plant earth level 4 400 attack 2400 defense, which is a really cool effect. You can also banish this card from your graveyard and then target one Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which is just such a good effect that this card basically power crept Shade Brigandine in this particular deck by just putting this card in the deck. It's so good. I love this card, and it's so helpful to help you make rank 4s, and it's just a really good card. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is just a really good card overall, just stopping your opponent's monster effects, and it's a great hand trap in this particular build, just to deal with your opponent's monster effects while also locking down entire spell and trap card columns. We then play 3 copies of Evenly Matched. It was included in the structure deck, and it's just really good in any main deck right now, just at dealing with your opponent's field. I absolutely love this card in the deck, and it's such a good card at just dealing with your opponent's field. It's a really awesome card in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Traptrix Rafflesia. I have bumped this card up from 1 to 2 in the previous build, but this card is just super good at activating your trap holes directly from the deck, and it's a definite card that you want to play in this build to stun the opponent. We then play 2 copies of Traptrix Pangicula. Pangicula is a searcher for the deck, so I ended up bumping this card up to from 1 to 2, and it's just really good because when this card has materials, it's unaffected by trap effects and the activated effects of other monsters with the same type as this card has materials. And you only affect this card once per turn, that you can detach a material from this card and then add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. And if a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can attach one of those monsters to this card as material just to be able to constantly get materials and keep getting searches. I found myself making one, and if it got outed, I really wanted the second copy of this card, so I ended up putting a second copy in the deck, and it has helped out so much. I really love this card as a 2-of in the build. We're then playing just a single copy of Alamirez. Alamirez is just a good 1-of in this particular build. I love this card in the deck, but it's just really good to play as a 1-of in this build. We're then playing a single copy of Time Thief Redoer. Time Thief Redoer is insane in this deck. It's so good because you can easily get the trap effect off on this card, that basically you just detach material on this card, and depending on what you detach depends on the effects that you get. If you detach a monster, you banish this card until the end phase. If you detach a spell, you draw a card, and if you detach a trap, you play place one face-up card your opponent controls on top of their deck, which is a really insane effect. And with cards like Holtia, it's very easy to get that effect off. We then play a single copy of the Rika Queen rank 4. This card is in the deck because if it does get tributed, which we have a very easy way to actually tribute it in this deck, you actually get to summon out the Sacred Tree Beast, which is a walking negate, and they're both plants. So even getting locked into them with Arachnacampa, it's very easy to summon out a boss monster in this deck. And the very easy way that we're actually going to tribute out this card is we're going to be able to use our copy of Jasmine, which I've replaced Curlio with, which is really a cool effect to be able to use in this deck, because it makes it really easy to make the Sacred Tree Beast and lock down the opponent. We then finally play a single copy of AA Zeus for the XZs. We're playing so many XZs in the deck, it's very easy to make Zeus in this particular build, and then basically just board wipe the field. We then play for the Link monsters. We're going to be playing a single copy of Access Code. We do play two different attributes in this particular deck between Earth and Light, which is really nice to be able to make the copy of Access Code and be able to pop two cards on the field. We then play a single copy of Adipus. Adipus is just great. It's an awesome card. It's very easy to summon. It makes your Traptrix absolutely massive, and it does help you negate cards on the field, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Jasmine. Jasmine is insane in this deck to be able to work with your copy of your Rika Queen, and has the ability, if your life points are higher than your opponent's, this card and any plant monsters it points to cannot be destroyed by battle, and has a great effect also that you can tribute a monster this card points to special summon a plant monster from your deck in defense position, which is a great effect to be able to tribute your copy of your Rika Queen, and then special summon a Traptrix that's a plant from the deck, and then summon out the Sacred Tree Beast off the effect of your Rika Queen, which is just so good. Also, a really cool play about this card is to be able to make this card and let it point to your copy of Rafflesia, because it's going to be really hard for your opponent to deal with that copy of Rafflesia, because now it can't be destroyed by battle, which is just so good. We then play 3 copies of Traptrix Sarah to round out the extra deck. Traptrix Sarah is one of the most insane cards in the entire deck. I love this card because if a normal trap card is activated, you special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name than the cards that you control, or if your other Traptrix monster effect is activated, you can set a trap or a whole normal trap directly from your deck. So basically, if you activate a Traptrix monster's effect, you get a hole. If you activate a hole, you get a Traptrix, which is really cool that they basically play off of one another and you get the exact card that you need. I love that about this card. This card basically makes the entire deck, and it's super easy to basically normal summon out one of your Traptrix monster, link into this card, have Parallel XZ in the hand, special summon Parallel XZ to your side of the field, get another one from the deck, and then get all of the plays that you need off of just those cards. It's so good in this deck, and it's a really awesome play. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Traptrix deck before, now is the perfect time since the Traptrix basically structure deck released. And the structure deck just helped out so much when it was released for this deck. There's so many good cards in it. And if you guys have not picked those up, you definitely should. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.